Hello and welcome everyone to this Global Investigative Journalism Network webinar, which is about online investigative techniques and specifically on visual search and verification. Welcome everyone. There's a lot of people joining us today, which we're very grateful for. We're absolutely delighted to be joined by journalist and training supremo, Henk van Ess, who many of you know, and I will introduce properly in a moment. Just to say today he's appearing orally, but not visually in our webinar. My name is Anne Koch, and I'm the Program Director at the Global Investigative Journalism Network, and I will be your moderator today. Henk brings extraordinary expertise in digging stories from open source and also in training others in these very difficult skills. Henk has trained journalist investigators at the Wall Street Journal, Axel Springer, ITV, NBC News. The list is an extremely long one. It goes on. And he's also one of the most popular speakers at our GIJN conferences. So we're absolutely delighted to have Henk with us today. We'll go to him in a moment, but just a quick introduction to those of you who don't know the Global Investigative Journalism Network. We're the largest global network of nonprofit investigative journalism organizations, but we work with journalists all over the world in commercial, nonprofit, and with freelancers. We have a lot of resources and tip sheets to help journalists worldwide, so please check them out at gijn.org. So what's going to happen now is Henk will speak and present for about 80 minutes or so. The webinar is slightly longer than our usual one, maybe by 15 minutes or so. We also, of course, want to have questions from you in the audience, so please put them in the Q&A box and we'll get to as many as we have time for, maybe some during the course of the webinar, and then also we'll save some up for the end when Henk has finished presenting. And then we'll invite my colleague, Eunice Aw, to join us on screen to share these questions, these additional questions. Also, you can follow some of the links that Henk has made available, so you can follow his presentation more by the links in the chat box. So I think I've said enough, and without further ado, Henk, over to you, please.
Hi there, this is me from the Netherlands, and I'm so delighted to do a masterclass visual search and verification with you all. And it's basically a metaphor and a literal thing. So we're gonna discuss how the power of watching at your real question in a more visual way and visualize your answer will maybe help you. And we're gonna look at actual, okay, I have a picture or a video, how do I find out the context of it? So it's a metaphor, it's literal and lateral. So this is, of course, the Corona edition. We should always talk about that, right? So I thought it would be great to start with a difficult exercise. So here is a top conspiracy theories on coronavirus. This is just part one from the Ukraine Crisis Media Center. You did know that the outbreak is a Zionist plot, I hope. If you don't, then you know that it was designed to promote mandatory vaccination. And if you never knew that the coronavirus is a bioweapon, well, now you will know. So this is basically what we are after. This is a conspiracy, maybe. Maybe you think this is true, but I'm not political here. I'm just being technical here. So let's assume that this is the start of a conspiracy theory. So to find out who said this the very first time, you need certain techniques. In this particular case, it was January 29, 2020, on that the coronavirus claimed that it was a US biological warfare against Russia and China was published by somebody. And I don't want to be impolite to people who are working for the Russian Secret Service, but maybe the person who wrote this story was paid or was from the playbook of the Russian Defense Ministry. We don't know for sure. Nudge, nudge. Now, this Julia Papshesha wrote this article, and my Russian, as you just noticed, is terrible. That person said something. And of course, if you say something like this, you probably want to be heard, but nothing happened all those weeks. Till, yeah, I think it was February, Then somebody picked it up and said, well, some in Russia think the coronavirus is a US, a biological weapon, which is of course terrible news. Now, if you follow the story a little bit later, you will find out that the Pakistan Defense Forum, probably all bookmarked under your bookmarks, says coronavirus is a biological weapon. Mind you, it also says exclamation marks, exclamation marks, exclamation mark. So it must be true. So this is all about finding out patient zero. So we found the patient zero, and patient zero is a very sexy term for, yeah, what is the first source? Who said it first? Who came with it for the very, very first time? So if you find a second source or a third source, which is not the original source, then it's probably a waste of time. You always have to go to the very, very first source. Who started the fire? Here you see that some US people, in this particular case, Mr. Francis Boyle, says, well, the Yuan coronavirus is an offensive biological warfare weapon. And here to the right, you see the person who's responsible, well, the organization is who's responsible, geopolitics and empire. Again, it's nice to know a little bit more about who's behind this, and basically they are all about conspiracy theories. Now, nowadays, I think we as reporters have a very interesting challenge. Here's the challenge. Of course, I presume you're familiar with the fact that Facebook, Google, Twitter tries to get rid of the nutty people, tries to get rid of the people who say terrible things in such way that they unrest people, that they are saying such concerning things that let's get rid of it. Even Mr. Trump, as you know, in Twitter, got a recommendation, don't read this. Well, you can read him, but be warned, maybe it's not true. Facebook does the same. Facebook has even a team of fact checkers playing a game they never will be able to win, but trying to find the the nutty people in all those millions of postings. And what is less known is that Google tweaked its algorithm in such way that all those strange thoughts about something which is in your society common knowledge that it's not true, depending on where you are living, you will probably see a different Google. So for each country, Google tweaked their algorithms according to what is custom or law or normal in that country. So I love to have you all here from all over the world. So if this workshop would be longer, I would dying to do this and ask you, well, let's try to find this and that and see what your Google says about it. And here's the challenge. What if you or I want to warn people against those, about those strange thoughts? I think we have a problem here. I think that social media and search engines are, from a technical point of view, a little bit biased nowadays. They want to get rid of the people who don't match. Anyway, Mr. Francis Boyle from Geopolitics and Empire, here you see them, is a little bit, by the way, you can donate to them via Bitcoins. There you go. Is very disappointed because YouTube has blocked his content. He had a great interview. He's speaking out the truth, but you will never hear it in YouTube because they killed it. Meanwhile, the rumor is spreading not like a fire, but slowly. And in April 2022, outside the very specialized websites like Pakistan Forum you just saw.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
You will see coronavirus propaganda from Russia, China, and Iran are beginning to mimic each other. The State Department says.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
So the coronavirus is not a biological weapon, says the Wall Street Journal. And when you see this sign, I think we have three moments today. there's work to do for you, because I hate to have only a monologue. Even in this short session, I want to put you to work. Now, I must already warn you that the next exercise, because of what I said, will be very frustrating. So I have an exercise for you where you have about 5 minutes time to make a guess. And here's the question. So the challenge, if you accept it, is find at least 4 other US scientists beside this Mr. Boyle who claim the coronavirus is a bioweapon. But let us dwell on this question a little bit. So the moment you start typing in parts of this question into Google, you will find some Chinese scientists. Oh, that doesn't count. I really want to find only US scientists. So I really want to find US scientists who really claim the same. It must be a bioweapon. So your time starts now, and I wish you a good luck. And there we go. So basically, some of you already typed in something claiming that coronavirus is not a bioweapon in some articles. But the point was the opposite. We need to find the nutty professors who say so. Now, this is the great moment of truth. I designed this exercise in such way, well, it was not an exercise, it was a real question I got from an American newspaper. But I gave you this problem also because I thought it was a challenge. So here's a question from me to you. Can you type in how many US scientists you found? And the answer can be 0. So type in 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat box according to your results. And while you are typing, this is really a very disappointing exercise. But do I have your attention now? So you gave 5 minutes of your precious life to this task. You probably are already a reporter. So you're not a novice, and still most of you typed in, I only found 0. So there is something going on here. And I like to talk through what is going on, what the problem is, what is the problem here, and how do we solve it? So we all agree that we have a problem here, I think. Here we go. So how to solve this problem that most of you typed in 0, although I love that some of you still are typing answers. And as a group, we probably have those 4 people, but you as persons don't. Now, who of you typed in something like this? So just type in yes or no. Who of you typed in something like this? What is now on the screen? So yes or no. And I have a moderator in my room who's taking notes and is trying to count it. And we see, I think, a 50-50 divide. So 50% is saying yes, 50% is saying no. So there you go. So scientists who claim coronavirus is a bioweapon is for some of you an option. Now let's dissect this a little bit. I was in February of this year, I was in New York for a full month. And I must say one of the greatest workshops I loved to do myself was explaining people who are working for Google in New York something about Google. Well, I think that's silly because it's their product and not mine. But it's all about how people search and how a computer takes care of your question. Now, if I would put it like this way, if I would be a scientist myself, a nutty scientist, and I really believe that coronavirus is a bioweapon, maybe I'm not nutty, but just for the sake of the argument, I call this person nutty, because you can find those persons right now. Now, what is wrong with the word scientist or scientists? I think that most scientists don't mention themselves as scientists. They're just being a scientist. So Basically, if you would type in the word scientist, you're already opening up secondary sources and not primary sources. So I think this also works in many, many different languages, in Arabic and in Russian, that a scientist, the term in your country for scientists, the word, I'm sorry, describes the concept of a scientist. But the scientist himself, well, I don't meet many scientists who say, hey, I'm Henk and I'm a scientist. And you, yeah, as a scientist, maybe they say something like that. As a scientist, I have the opinion. And you see always, you see also, sorry for my English, you see also the word claim. So the moment you type in the word claim, you're also opening up secondary sources because you try to find people who claim something. And if I would be that person who claims something, I probably never would say, my claim is. No, I would just say, coronavirus is a bioweapon. Didn't you know? So I will never say the word claim, probably not say the word claim. Well, you could argue, Henk, why shouldn't I do that? Because I can find maybe sources who say this anyway. And then in the article, I will find those names. Yes, sure. And you will succeed probably in that, but not with this exercise, as you found out, because there are not that many articles. We are trying to write that article. We are trying to find those people, and it's very, very hard. So one thing I really think should always be true is coronavirus is a bioweapon. That should be in it. Now, I studied a lot. I quit my job as an investigative reporter, basically to tell all the people how to research, but completely for an egotistical reason. I didn't have any time myself while I was writing and researching to research. So it takes a lot of time to find stuff out, how things are working and how is Google ticking. And one of the things you should know that we as people think in a conceptual way. Even if you want to find the word, a map from the Eastern Germany republic called DDR. This is a little bit hard to translate. It's not the same abbreviation in each country, but we are talking about former East Germany. And if you would, I'm going to follow the English explanation here. So if you want to find a map of the DDR, you would probably type in just that. But the problem with that is that the primary source, the map itself, who never can talk to you, doesn't contain the word map. So if you would open up a map, any given map, trust me on this one, it doesn't say this is a map. No, the map is self-evident. And even if you want to find an interview with your prime minister, or if you don't have a democracy with your great dictator, then if you type in the word interview in conjunction with the name of the person you are after, you won't find that much, because in most interviews in many, many languages, it doesn't say so. Well, this is an interview only when you're super proud, only when people say, well, this is an exclusive interview. So the conceptual thinking means that we say scientists, claim, coronavirus, interview, map. But the more literal thinking, the more visual thinking, by the way, it's almost the same, which sounds a little bit contradictory and counterintuitive, is that you basically try to find out, okay, what is a map and what is an interview? So for an interview, I would always go for Anne Koch, and then type in Anne Koch between quotation marks, and then type in Koch says between quotation marks, and the word I. In itself, very harmless, unimportant words. But if you combine them in that way, you basically predict something which is always true from any given interview. For predicting a map of the DDR, I would open up a map and look, oh, the word scale is on it and stuff like that. And then I would work from there. For this question, I don't know yet. So let's find out. Why didn't this work? Or why didn't this work? Who typed in something like this? Type in yes or no. Who typed in something like this? So Catalana and Matthias and many people, Mahmoud too, came up with a very thorough idea. Let's put it between quotation marks, because I'm sure that it has to be the phrase US scientists. And some of you also sure of the coronavirus is a bioweapon thingy. And Murad says, Al-Kadwatri, Murad al Quarterly. I'm so sorry for my pronunciation. I wrote like that. So, okay, here you go. That didn't work either. So we have to visualize what we want. No, there's nothing wrong with your bandwidth. This was an educational silence. So let's start with doing just that. So I'm going to try to rephrase my real question into the rigid logic of Google. So the question is, what makes a scientist in general, regardless the country? In many countries, it's some kind of title followed by the name. What do we want to find?
Here's what I found.
My Apple Watch says, here's what I found. That's funny. A claim near the person. And we don't want to find a claim and the person in the same text. Now, we really want to find it near the person. Eh? So you probably are aware of the fact that if you type in stuff in Google, the problem is not that you don't get anything, you get too much. And then you click on the source and you suddenly see, oh, the name I'm searching for is in the top, but at the bottom is the other part of what I'm searching. There's no connection. We need to find a connection between both things. And what will the claim be? I think this claim is a great way to start. And what do we want to get rid of? We want to get rid of Mr. Francis Boyle. Mr. Boyle, forgive me, we only want to get rid of you for technical reasons. So these are basically the answers. So you see, I'm shifting here. I'm shifting from my normal being a human, from not thinking that much anymore about the questions, but about the consequence of my question into leading to an answer. If you want an answer, you maybe could put a little bit more time in predicting the answer. So what does this mean? What makes a scientist a scientist? It's a title followed with a name. And this is not rocket science. This is not, we don't know it for sure. But I'm going to show you what my best option at that moment in time is. So you see here, quotation mark, doctor, star, space, star, quotation mark. So just type in yes, wa or no, if you understand what's happening here. So do you understand? Quotation marks, doctor, star, star, quotation mark. Yes or no? And even some people talk Dutch to me, and my moderator says that the majority gets this. So just to be precise, the doctor is something which is in the US quite normal that, yeah, I'm Dr. Charles. So why don't I type virologist here? Because I know nothing about the subject itself yet. So I want to be as neutral as possible. Why don't I type 1 star? Well, I don't want to end the sentence like this. Sean Connery played Dr. No, or is playing in Dr. No. No, I want to have a little bit more. I want to find a text where there is a doctor in it. And right after the doctor, at least 2 words. That's all I'm doing here. In itself, this is not enough. So we have to continue. So what do we want to find? We want to find the claim near the person. And this is a trick which you maybe heard sometimes, maybe you didn't. But this is the trick with around. And just to know how much time I should spend on this one, who is familiar with the around trick? Then we should take it a little bit further here. So we have plenty of time. So we have a whopping 30 minutes, even a little bit more left. So let's work with that. So here's the beautiful organization, Global Investigative Journalism Network, who made this all possible. It's great. And we're going to work with something here. So what I'm going to do right now is open up Google, and you can type along if you want. It's not mandatory, but you can. And then I'm going to just type in the last names I can see in the chat. So I noticed Ingrid is here, and I noticed that Jette is here. So Ingrid, Jette, oh, that's super Russian. Daniel and Vernice and Abin and Gabriella and Owen. And he even misspelled something. So I'm going to type this in. And of course, I get answers. And that's my whole point. Maybe I should take my loss here and tell you this is my whole point. The words you see are in some very explicit texts, but they are not making any sense here. So if I really want to find an Ingrid and a Jet in the same text, and let's take one more name, a Bean. There you go. So I want to find those three people in a text. Then you will see, yeah, that you get this stuff. Has not been. I don't like that. I clearly typed in a Bean, and Abin Shaikh is not amused that Google says, no, I know something way better than a Bean, not Bean. Well, that's silly. So to avoid this, you could do this. You could either put this between quotation marks, even a single word. So now you get a Beans, and you could also do the following, and now I get to the point. How do you get those people around each other? Now, if you never use this, and many of you don't, you have to type it in capitals. So it's like shouting on the internet. If people have caps lock on, it's mostly angry trolls who are saying, oh, no, I don't like this and I don't like that. So this is the shout against Google. And put behind around the range between the first words and the last words you think is plausible, logical, reasonable. So I'm going to go for 12 here. So what does this say? This says, well, let's find any Ingrid around 12 a being. But what does it mean? Well, it should be 12 words or less away from each other. And now you see we get nothing because there are no sources like that. There you go. Now, this is what we should do in a moment. Try to combine two phrases. So if I want to know if Miss Merkel is popping up, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for you. Miss Merkel is popping up around Mr. Putin, then you will see that it works nicely. So why should I use 12? Why should I use 3? Whatever. Well, in this course, knowledge of a tool is as important as understanding why you are doing it, the strategy behind it. Sorry for my pronunciation. So I would go for a headline for 8 or 7, something like that, as shown here, because then it is a short sentence. And you get a little bit more headlines with this. If you want to predict a sentence, I would go with 17. Most sentences have an average length in the world of 17. That's why I came up with it. And 30 would be probably wise for a paragraph. Now, I make an error here. If you forget the space, it won't work that well. So here you go. Don't forget it. This is the way to force a relation you suspect there is between two topics. So let's go back to our main narrative. How do we find 4 US doctors who are thinking that coronavirus is a bioweapon? We came up with the doctor star thing. We came up with around something and then the claim. So what would that claim be? The claim would probably be this: coronavirus is a bioweapon. So we need a quote. And what do we already know? We already know that Francis Boyle said this and is very disappointed that YouTube killed the truth. And here you have it. Important silence. There is your formula for finding those people. And if you know how to do it, you can do it in 30 seconds and not in 5 minutes and then fail. And why did most of you fail? Because you're human. Be proud of that, please. So we're thinking almost like a machine. We're thinking almost like a photocopying machine. And this only works if you know your drill, if you know the star thingy, if you know the quotation marks, if you know that there is something called around, and the strategy behind it. Okay, let's find any given doctor. 7 words away from the claim coronavirus is a bioweapon minus Boyle. Now you could argue, but Henk, how can you be sure that you get US doctors with it? I wasn't sure about that, but I did it the other way around. I studied some text and I saw that especially in the US, people like to address themselves like that. You didn't study all those years for nothing. So here we get the first one. Paul Cottrell, coronavirus is a bioweapon. And here we get this guy talking in a YouTube video. So let's end this rumor. He will never say his truth. And here we get evidence mounts coronavirus is a bioweapon. And we will get another one, Bill Deagle. And we will get another one, which is rather, this is not your normal website. This is the extreme right in the US, also outside the US. So now we have 4 people. So do I expect you to come up with this whole phrase here, this whole thinking yourself? No, I am not able to do it myself by heart. The only way I can come up with these kinds of formula is sit down, and if I fail, then look why this is happening. I really have, I think I have 2 days in general, a month that I try to sit down and learn from my failures and just see, okay, this went wrong, but maybe it's not out there. Maybe there's nothing on the web, but maybe I am too human. So that's basically almost thinking in math, with mathematical formulas. Now let's concentrate a little bit on this guy, Dr. E. Michael Jones. And I have a poll question for you right now, and it will be about reverse image search. Now, the beautiful people from GIJN will open up a poll right now, and will ask you if you are familiar with reverse image search. Often, sometimes, rarely, or I don't use it. So the host and the panelists can't vote, so we can't rig this. I won't vote, and the panelists can vote. So it's your party. So just click on it and make your choice. We will take 30 seconds for that. So, well, to be completely honest, I'm happy with the number of results. What I'm seeing here. So a whopping 69% is using this. So a majority of you is using this, and most people are using this very often. Then we can continue now. Now, since you just told me you're using this very often, the majority of you, I think it's great to go into some deeper water here and try to come up with our second task of today. And that question will be about the guy we just found. We just found this Dr. Michael E. Jones. Now, here's your question. There is a Michael E. Jones, only on Iranian websites, maybe. Why? Well, basically, I want to find out the phases of the rumor. So we just found out it started in Russia, and then it became also that China and Iran said the same. So maybe Michael E. Jones is featured somewhere on any given Iranian website. And can you find some websites from Iran? And it must be in Farsi. There's no English websites allowed with this guy. So let's make it 3 minutes here. So you have 3 minutes for this little exercise. 3 minutes, starting now. Okay, let's have a look at some suggestions. So one of you, I think it was Marcus, typed in this. So Marcus did basically the obvious thing. Marcus tried to translate the name of that person into Google. There's nothing wrong with that, but you do have to know that maybe even our Arabic-speaking person who translates this already says, no, maybe you didn't translate it quite well. And then Marcus would probably argue, yeah, well, I didn't translate it myself. I maybe went to translate.google.com. Now that's the problem I have with doing that. So if you would routinely go to Google and try to translate it into Farsi, you will get some suggestions. But I found out during my many trips that the translation, especially with names, is not always right. So sometimes people change your name slightly because it is more funny to say it like this, or it's more effective to say it like this. So the real name is a little bit changed. Sometimes people write Putin with Oscar Echo in it in some countries, in other countries with a uniform. If you would try to translate Putin into Russian, there's not that much misunderstanding possible, but it can be. So during my many fact-finding missions, I thought, how can I search? Because you remember, by the way, this is still a session about visual search. And the solution I just got from Marcus and from some other people is all about, I say Arabic, sorry, of course this is Farsi. Yeah? So the example which Marcus just gave was of course in Farsi, but searching translations of Farsi can also be dangerous. So here's another method. And now I'm looking again at the pattern. I'm looking at this Iranian web editor who is maybe paid by the government in Iran to spread some nice rumors about coronavirus as a bioweapon. Maybe this Michael E. Jones featured in that article, and he's interviewed by the Iranian governmental office or something like that. Now, if you would be an Iranian web editor, you would probably worry about your pay, but you would also probably worry about, I need the picture, I need an image. So what most people do on the web who are not familiar and who are not local is just type in the name Michael E. Jones. Okay, let's find the picture, and you will probably play it safe and just go to his Twitter account. His Twitter account, by the way, just has been deleted a few days ago. Now here is his official photo as shown here. So this is his official photo from the guy here. And deleted. You see, this is the new problem on the web. But here's our guy. Now I found out if you search for the photo and try to do the following, then you have another way to research stuff. So welcome the next segment, how to use location in reverse image search in 6 steps. So you can type this along, so you can follow this. So how to use location in reverse image search in 6 steps. Now the first thing is, of course, that you need to have some kind of link, and the link will be put into the chat. So don't chat yourself right now. And if you click on the link, which is now available, then most of you, wherever you are in the world, we're almost with 400 people, great. Then you can click and then you get the photo. So if you get the photo, we don't need this link. This is just a placeholder to work. So if you type in that link as shown here, you get this photo as shown here. So it takes a little bit of time to build up, but there it is. Now copy this long and silly link. Copy this very long link as I did just a moment ago. And then we go to step 2. Now 65% of you must feel bored because you do this often or sometimes. Go to Google Images, images.google.com, click on the camera and cut and paste the full link. Look, what multimedia extravaganza. This cost me more than 10 minutes of my life to make this amazing animation. While you're at this, you will probably get something like that. But here it will be a little bit confusing. So when I do this, I get the words E. Michael Jones. I think that it won't be in the whole world the same. Let's find out. Who get as the keywords, so above here, so I'm going to highlight this a little bit so you understand what I'm talking about. Those words, who has something else here? Type in yes or no. Who has something else there? Type in yes or no. and you see Dr. E. Michael. You get different things. This is by default silly, but it's the world where we live in. We all have our bubble, we all have our reality, we all have our own Google. There is no one Google anymore. So you see different keywords. And one of the people I met at Google is, I can tell you my sources, is Daniel Russell. He is search anthropologist, and I like the guy, and I really worked with him already a few times. He's not an advertiser. He's just looking at how are people searching. And many, many years ago, he told me the following trick. If you change those keywords, as shown here, those keywords, although they are randomly put there according to your observations, then you can also change the outcome. So get rid of those words. And now I want to make it only Iranian. So not Arabic, but Farsi. Forgive me for this stupid error a moment ago. And this is your way in. And this is great. So this is really you not searching by name. No, searching with a photo. And you instruct Google, forget everything you just told me, just go to Iran. And I like this. I really, really like this. So now I don't have to know the name anymore. Yeah, sure, I do have to know the original name, but not the spelling anymore. So is this perfect? No. But will it help me to find sources that I won't find if I let Google Translate do the work, all the work? Yeah, so that's my point. And now I get only Farsi sources. And I also get, okay, Iranian press was talking about this, especially in April. There you go. So you could try to translate the coronavirus into Persian. Then that's also an optional step, but here you go. So yeah, just type me in your opinion. How do you like this way of searching? Not with words, but with a photo and then filter it in Iran. How do you like it? Just type it in your chat. How do you like that, to do it like that? So Yusuf says it's a great idea and nifty, useful, great. Yeah, so that's why I'm here. I'm almost crying here because you seem to be happy. So let's summarize this. How do you spell the name in Persians? I don't know, but never mind. But use a picture of her homepage and be very simplistic here. Don't go for the photo you just got yourself, which was published yesterday. No, go for the most generic photo, the photo from a Twitter account. This guy is suspended, so then go to his book account. Oh, that's also gone. Go to his YouTube account. Oh, that's also gone. Well, then take the very first hit when you type in his name in Google Images and use that photo. And then do a refined reversed image search and add the country via site:IR. And then you could probably use some words. And you can even make it more topical by going to tools and use the Google date search. So if you use the Google date search, this was not possible for many, many years, but they reintroduced it a few months ago. You can say, okay, out of all those people in Farsi, from that guy, all those articles, show me only those from the last few weeks. And this will greatly improve your assessment of, well, when did this happen? When did the fire start? So here's another question for you. I have an image for you, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about what the exercise here is here. So in the chat there is a link right now, and the challenge is, if you accept it, to deal with the fact first that this question is not to be answered with your usual skills. So basically, 65 of you already knows reversed image search. This photo, you won't be able to find this photo via reversed image search. Why? Because it was published in social media. Now, what is the question? There was a bombing of a place called Homs in Syria. If you look carefully, you see a date, and under the date it says Homs in Syria. I like you to give it a try and try to find the article let's do it in this way. For now, it's enough if you can find the photo back in Instagram. So try to find the photo back in Instagram. So I'm going to change the challenge here. And the challenge will be find this photo. Well, I'm really trying to make it as interesting and as easy for you as possible. Find this photo. Here you go. Wherever you are able to find it. And let's work 5 minutes on this one. And I need to find the exact same photo. And here's our problem, nicely phrased pointed out by Inna Dubinsky to the panelists. 4 my local time, Amsterdam time. Thin Ice searched over 48 billion images, but didn't find any matches. So let's talk about this a little bit. One of my fondest wishes is that I would be able to search Instagram for a specific period of time. Now, if we would go to Instagram, as I'm going to do right now, so I'm going to go to Instagram right now, going to continue in my own account, and well, you know about Instagram, right? It's this place where you can well, let's find out what it is today. So today we have 1.140 well, many postings of cats. So here you go. Let's kill some cats here and not curiosity. So we really have to go to the place we are after, which is Homs and then Syria. So this is what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to click on the actual geolocation, well, the geolocation according to Instagram, and we'll need this link in a moment. So if you would go to the chat room, it would be possible to give you the link. We have a small problem here in this. Well, then you should do it manually. So everyone who wants to follow me, go to Instagram and type in Home Syria and click on the link. And then go to the next source. So there is a source now put into the chat. It's called Who Posted What. If you kindly would be able to go there. So Who Posted What, as shown here. And now scroll down, tiddly down. So go in that source and go down here. And put the whole link of the location Homs Syria here. So this is what we are after. We don't know if we can find the picture via Instagram, but we do know we can find it via our usual tricks, reverse image search. Now we're gonna have a look once more at the date, June the 16th. Let's tell the computer. So this won't work if you are not member of Instagram. Magic always has its price, and it won't work if you're not if you forgot your password. So we're going to go to June 2012, as shown here, and then we go to 16, right? Yeah. Now, if you do this, click on search, and then you will go to Instagram. But a very strange Instagram here. Although it says most recent, these photos are not the most recent. Those photos are from that date or around that date. And if you click on it, we see the same photo as we were searching for. So this is searching photos without searching with the photo. And if we would go to this person who published this photo in his stream, and we see his name. Gregory Shigalov, something like that. And if we would type that name into Google, we will find his Twitter account. And then we can contact him and ask him questions about, well, did you put this photo online? Or if not, who did? What is the primary source? Well, some of you missed this, so maybe you should take a picture of this one. So for those who missed it because I was a little bit too fast, or maybe somebody called, or maybe your microwave said, "Ping." Here is a slide for you. So make a picture of it, and then you know all the steps. I am so happy we still have almost 13-14 minutes time to share you a verification formula, which I'm dearly fond of, which I really use on a daily basis. So if you look at my little world, I'm always afraid that I have something called tunnel vision. I'm not sure if this is a word in every country in the world, but basically I'm addressing the problem that I'm researching something, and I think I'm doing well, but I'm not doing well. I'm following ghosts, and I don't know what I don't know. Now, the next segment is a rather contra-intuitive, but it dwells on what we did before. Basically, it's a way of thinking that you will be able to predict things you don't know. So here we go. By the way, with this trick, you will be able to find out who's behind a viral video. You will find out the deleted Instagram accounts. You even will find out who is behind a mysterious company. So we have a whopping 10 minutes left. Then we have time to take some questions. So let's go. The first example is about the Dutch police. Arresting some guy in the Netherlands, and it goes so easy. We're so relaxed people, right? You heard already my terrible jokes. That's not typical for Dutch people, but most people in Holland are very laid back. So this is how the police arrested somebody, and CNN, the TV station, Juxtaposed for the translators. It's against some violence of the police in the US, and then said, well, look how easygoing the Dutch are. And I wanted to know, where is this footage taken? And I also wanted to know which police district is responsible for this. There are many ways to do this. You can call the police and ask them, hey, can you help me which district this is? And I did. And then they said, sure, which district do you need? Oh my God, that was a terrible Kafka. Well, read Kafka and then you understand what I'm referring to. But anyway, this is a problem here. Now, I have to work with what I have, and that's not much. The only thing I know is I want something. I want to find out who is the original poster of this. And the only thing I know is where this was placed, where did they put this online, in what place, and it was YouTube. So YouTube, you see a link here. So this link was the actual place where I could find that information. Now let's wait a little bit and look at this formula and tell me if you understand what I'm doing here. Yes or no? Some of you think that I'm trying to find links on the website YouTube. Nope, I do completely the opposite. And Daniel says, oh, I see, I think. So basically what I'm doing here is a tool. I use something which is possible in Google, and a strategy. This is what I'm doing. Oh, I just went to YouTube and I have a question. The question is, where do I find more about what I just saw? And I literally say to the computer, now get rid of YouTube. YouTube is not helping me. And the contra-intuitive thinking is that I'm putting the link still into Google, which is rather silly because Google is a thing you use to get a link. Why would you put in a link? Well, because I'm basically saying here, I just went to YouTube. Can you find the same link, but outside YouTube? But then you could argue, how do you know what kind of information you will get? Well, that's my whole point. I don't know. So I don't know what I don't know. But with this formula, I maybe do know. So I hope you can make any sense out of this mindfuck. But then you will get sources like this. You see the same footage, and you see somebody in Facebook saying, well, look at our just published information. We are the police in Amsterdam, as shown here. Let's go to some royalties in Luxembourg. These are the royalties of Luxembourg, the prince and the princess. Correction, these were the royals, because this woman, oh, I'm really zooming in on her eyes. That's equal things here. Then the eyes of the guy was married to that guy. But she got a new lover, her dresser. And she posted a lot of postings. She posted a lot of Instas on an Instagram account of her new lover. But it was shame and scandal in the royal family because she was divorced. And a royalty watcher, somebody who's writing about the royalties from Germany, asked me, Henk, can you find out the Instagram account, the deleted Instagram account? And some of you who are experienced will say, yeah, sure, that's easy. Go to Google Cache or go to archive.org. Whoa, that won't work this time. So here is my answer. And you maybe are seeing the pattern here. What do we want? What do we know? We want to find references to what what is clearly gone. Do I know the references? No, I don't know. So here's the same formula. Once more. So I'm saying here, show me the Instagram link which failed on me. Show me the Instagram link once more, but not from the site who just disappointed me, but from any given site. And it's only in that moment that I learned that there's something called PICNU, which routinely copies databases, has databases of Instagram accounts of famous people. And it's only then that I know that our subject, our protagonist, has a super fan called this person, shown here, who reposted everything. And it's only then that I can look her new lover in the eyes. So is this an improvement? Yes or no? Please don't answer this question. Now, I like to end this segment with something where everything comes together. So we learned something today about the dangers of conceptual thinking, and you already heard today what I'm after. So typing in the word scientist, US, claim is already conceptual thinking. Typing in the word interview is already conceptual. Typing in the word what we did in the little example was map is also already a choice that a computer won't make itself, because on the map there is no word map. Now I'm trying to combine this with reversed image in the next impossible problem. So when I was at the Financial Times 2 years ago, they were working on a story called Lebara. So this company is world famous in some countries, but it's completely unknown in some other countries. Just for the sake of me knowing what you know, trying to find out that. So type in yes or no if you ever heard of that company. Did you ever hear of the company Lebara, yes or no? My moderator is frantically counting what you are saying. We probably have a draw here. A little bit more people who are saying no. So basically, this is a telecom company, a telecommunications company who's selling SIM cards and phones and stuff like that. Now, they were working on an article who's behind the mysterious company. And the company was called Palmarium as shown here. Now, the question they had, was rather simple, but hard to answer. Who are behind that company? And they try to do the usual way. We are doing internet right now. That's a network, but you can also have a network of humans. So of course, they ask people who were familiar with this kind of subjects, do you know more? They didn't. Another way would be to go to primary sources like Chamber of Commerce, or like financial records, like GIJN. They did, but they didn't find any conclusive material. Then you could go to the patient serum itself, the source, as shown here, Palmarium. Maybe they are saying something about why they are there on Earth and who's really behind it. They didn't. And then they asked me, do you know something? And then I was really flabbergasted. And I thought, well, are you asking this to me? Are you asking this to me? You did, I think, everything you could. But then I remembered the lesson I told other people, think visual. To make my point, I'm going to go to a website which deals in, let's have a look. Let's go to this website here. Welcome to COVID Care Home, where you get a nice box after you are recovering from Corona. You get your own saturation device and some other stuff. And this is a great product, didn't you know? The company behind says, and it's, no, they don't say it. They say, look, these are our clients. So this is in almost every country, in Arabic speaking countries, in Russia and China. Often it shows you on the more corporate website or the business to business side, look, these are our clients. So this is what I'm after, look. So the words are not mentioned in the text, but the logos are. And this is what we need. So here's my train of thoughts. Maybe somebody didn't mention Palmarium because I didn't find anything at that moment in time, but maybe mentioned the logo. So let's have a look. And then we have some time for taking questions. Palmarium, I'm going to give the logo to Google. And here is the great summary of this whole course. Reverse search with an image and visual thinking. Let's exclude what we already know. And the answer at that moment in time was a company specialized in printing business cards. And yeah, you probably only use a company like that if you are also on Malta. And in the end, that was true. So there you go. Using nifty formulas in Google and combine it with reverse image, thinking in a visual way can lead to new small next steps in your investigative work. And I, of course, wish you all the best with that. So we still have some time for some questions. So I'm going to wait and see if there are any questions.
Hi, Henk. Thanks for a very wonderful session. There are some questions and we only have about 9 minutes, so let's try to squeeze them in one by one. The first question is PIM Eyes safe to use for facial recognition search? Do you know other similar tools?
Yes, PIM Eyes, I'm familiar with that. It's done by two guys from Poland. They are very young, two students. I met them too. If the question is it safe in the strict way, can I trust them? Then my answer is no, because there's always a way that authorities say to those two Polish students, give me whatever you have. If you look at a more technical point of view, then I think PIM Eyes is one of, no, I must be even more precise, is the best visual face recognition tool we have. Although 3 months I said something else. I said, go to Yandex. Yandex is a great, the best face recognition tool I know. But they changed a little bit. So most professional researchers will probably agree with me that Yandex is the best way to go. But till now, I have to say that PIM Eyes is now the new kid on the block, because Yandex dropped the ball. I have one tip for people who still want to use Yandex. If you use a proxy, if you use a VPN, and if your targets are in eastern states of Europe, then the facial recognition in Yandex will still work. But that's a very narrow condition which have to be met.
Well, you kind of answered the second question as well, which was, would you recommend Yandex? instead of reverse search in Google, or do you use them in different situations?
I'm always doing that. I'm always answering questions before I heard the question. Sorry for that.
No problem. And for the first exercise that you did for the US scientists, coronavirus is a bioweapon claim. What happens if you just use advanced Google search? Does that work?
Well, it defies basically my whole point that if you use advanced Google search, you let the machine do the thing. So it's basically a marriage of lateral and literal thinking. So the machine will probably help you a little bit with using quotation marks and stuff like that. But you have to come up with, oh, I have to use around 7 right now. There is no option in Google Advanced Search where it says around.
Yes, so this brings me to my next question, because a few people ask about the number you put within the brackets next to around. How do you decide on that number?
Yeah, I did this a little bit fast. It depends on your language. So it's a cultural based thing. So how long-winded is your language? That's the most important question. So if you are living in a country where the headlines are very long, then that should be your starting point of answering this question. So basically, I would never use 50 or higher, because then it defies the whole point. And I still get that some person is at the top of the page and the rest of the information at the top. So if you are searching for example, reports on stuff. So I always use file type PDF, but I want to find really one topic combined with another topic in reports and official documents. I would go for 8 or 9. If I want to find information in a sentence, I would go for 17. And if I want to find it in a paragraph, I would go for 30.
Okay. The next question would be on the serial photo example. If we don't have the date or the words that you gave, just a picture with no metadata or any other help, and Google reverse search image doesn't work, what can we do?
We have a whopping 5 minutes left, eh? Yeah, so basically, maybe I have a very small example, which I think I will address in one of the next sessions. And again, I love to work with you all, but let's have a look if I can do it quickly. If not, no, I will keep this this example for later, but I'm going to tell you a little bit here. I understand the question. I'm going to give you a very silly, but at the same time, very serious answer. That's me. There you go. Now, one of the people who was responsible for killing people in Stockholm during that was a van who was driving into in a crowd, and the same happened at the Christmas market in Berlin. Was found in a Facebook posting sitting on probably an airport with a yellow bear. Sorry for my pronunciation. And they had the photo, so they gave the photo to Tinai, nothing. They did the face recognition at that moment in time, Yendings, nothing. They did some of the tricks we did today. But be stupid also. So go to Google Images and type in what you see. That's my whole point. Type in yellow bear and then airfield, airport maybe, airport. There you go. And if you do this, you get a yellow bear at an airport. And be careful what you wish for. So we had this information that somebody was sitting there, and well, you have to know that Google takes care of colors. And this is, the next tip is super unknown and was told by 3 Google scientists who I met in Zurich. If you want to find a yellow house with green in it, you can do this. You type in the word house. Some of you maybe are familiar that you can go to tools and click on color, but I want to have a yellow and a green. You see that? I can only choose one. This is possible. If you type in the colors, you have to do it on English. So if you're from an Arabic speaking country or in China, type in here the Chinese word for house, but type in the words yellow and green in English. Otherwise it won't work. And this should give us only houses who are yellow and green. End of the answer.
Hang on, just had to get to the unmute button. We don't have much time left, so I'll just squeeze in this last question. I guess everybody will want to get their hands on it, but Henk, do you have a cheat sheet with the formulas you use in search engines?
Which says plural, you say search engines. Let's start with Google first. Yeah, I have a cheat sheet. Maybe I should give credit to this guy, the search anthropologist of Google. So what I will send to you, besides the material your organization already prepared, it's a summary in slides, is a not that very well-known document written by a Google scientist about all the tricks. So I will send it to you the next few hours.
Great. So it's Anne here again. Henk, thank you so much. That was really, really interesting. And I think we could have taken many more questions, but we've sadly run out of time. It was a fantastic session. Thank you so much. And as we get near now the end of the webinar, I'd like to also thank my GIJN colleagues and also to all the audience for participating and for attending the event today. We're lucky because we have another one with Henk in a week, another webinar with Henk in a week, exactly a week today on Tuesday, the 15th of December. Again at 9 EST, 9 a.m. EST. And this time it will focus, or rather the next one will focus on investigating social media. So, you know, if you're interested in that, please do join us again. Henk is also doing 2 in-depth 5-hour workshops next month in the new year in January on the 11th and 26th. But spots are limited, so you have to apply if you're interested, and we're trying to let everyone know before Christmas, but there's very limited space, I'm afraid. And also, finally, please keep your eye out at gijn.org for other online events. We're planning others. So once again, an enormous thanks to Henk. Very brilliant session. It was really, really good. And thanks everyone again. See you again. Goodbye for now.